Survivor Panama premiered on February 2nd, 2006, as 16 new castaways were divided into 4 tribes based on their age and gender. The 4 teams immediately competed in a challenge, with 1 person from each tribe racing to find an amulet. The top 3 finishers would earn flint for their tribe, while the last place finisher would be forced to send one of their own to Exile Island, the main theme of the season. Danielle would be the one to lose it for the younger woman. However, her tribe decided to play it fair and let rock, paper, and scissors determine who would stay on Exile. Missy would end up losing this battle, thus was forced to stay on the remote island. However, she was given a clue to the hidden immunity idol, but unfortunately for Missy, she had no luck in finding it. At camp, the younger tribes had fun with each other, although they weren't necessarily productive when it came to building the shelter. The older camps were much more productive, especially Tina, as she got most of the tribe's food, although her overbearing personality did rub them the wrong way. At the immunity challenge, the younger men passed the older woman at the last second, sending them to the first tribal of Panama, where there was literally nowhere to hide. Cirie seemed like the obvious boot here, given she was the weakest, and was literally scared of the freaking leaves, but she was able to pull off the first great move of her Survivor career, and took the risk of targeting the strongest player in Tina for being too much of a threat, and in general, not fitting in. At tribal, Tina all but sealed her fate when she said the others weren't working as hard as her, thus she became the first person to be voted out of Survivor Panama.
Tina, the tribe has spoken.
The tribes were immediately switched, dissolving from 4 tribes to 2, and in turn, created the most polar opposite tribes in Survivor history. Seriously, how did all these all-time iconic characters end up on Casaya? Bruce wasn't picked and was sent to exile, and would join the team that went to tribal. On the Mina, Missy was immediately seen as a target, given she possibly had the idol, while Aris appeared to be the unofficial leader of Casaya. At the first immunity challenge as 2 tribes, Lamina won, and it looked to be an easy day for Casaya, as Shane literally wanted to quit. However, Aris pleaded to Shane to give it a couple days, as they needed his strength, to which Shane reluctantly agreed to. With Shane now staying and safe, the target switched to the 2 older ladies of Melinda and Cirie, as they were seen as weak links within Casaya. At what would turn out to be a forgotten and important moment in the history of Survivor, Casaya decided to spare Cirie over Melinda, sending her home in a 5-2 vote. Melinda, I'm sure you're a great person, but man, we as fans really lucked out that both Cirie and Shane survived this tribal.
Melinda, the tribe has spoken.
After joining Casaya, Bruce immediately proved his worth to the tribe as he used spare t-shirts to develop a water filtration system. While most of the tribe was satisfied, Courtney was skeptical of this, hinting at the two's pettiness towards each other that would transpire throughout the season. At the reward challenge, Lamina once again won and chose Bruce to once again go to exile, where he still had no luck in finding the idol. On Casaya, the losing and continued withdrawals made Shane a loose cannon, making his alliance question how long they could truly keep him around. Luckily for Shane, Casaya would win their first immunity challenge, sending Lamina to their first tribal. Ruth Marie looked to be the initial target given she was the weakest, but the guys formed an alliance with each other and agreed Missy was too big of a threat, given she possibly had an idol. Knowing she was in danger, Missy bluffed that she did find the idol in an attempt to scare the others away from voting for her. However, the men and Ruth Marie stuck to their guns and voted out Missy in a 5-2 vote.
Misty, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 4 begins with the tribes competing for toilet paper, bath essentials, and of course, their very own outhouse. Casaya won the challenge, which would lead to very hilarious moments the rest of the season. Speaking of the rest of the season, Survivor Panama changed drastically when Casaya sent Terry to exile. Figuring that Bruce must have found the idol after going to exile twice, Terry didn't have much faith he would find it, but luckily, he was able to connect the dots and find the OP hidden immunity idol.
Break the bottle and retrieve the hidden talisman.
The talisman is beautiful.
This talisman can be used to keep you safe from the vote of tribal council.
This makes the whole trip out here worthwhile. I mean, they ended up doing me a big favor.
At the immunity challenge, Casaya won the 3rd challenge in a row, earning their 2nd consecutive immunity. Due to their losing streak, Ruth appeared to be the target once again, but Dan was really keen on keeping her and pulled her into the guys' alliance. But Sally pleaded to the men that she was far more valuable to the tribe when it came to the challenges. In the end, Austin, Terry, and Nick went away from Dan's plan to pull in Ruth Marie and blindsided her in a 4-2 vote in order to keep the tribe as strong as possible.
Ruth Marie, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 5 now, one of the funniest and wackiest episodes in Survivor history, and it was all due to the shenanigans happening on Casaya. The episode starts off with Bruce causing animosity within his tribe, as instead of helping his tribe with the daily duties, he practiced Zen Garden by himself. Despite the friction in Casaya, they continued their winning streak as they won themselves extra rice, beans, plus 3 massive fish. However, when they returned to camp to enjoy their fish, it all went for naught as the storms extinguished their fire, thus they were forced to eat it raw. But despite the somber mood, this didn't stop Bruce and Bobby from having the time of their lives.
We're sitting in that house drinking wine. I'll never let you out ever. Oh, yeah,
I'll get it. I go to Casa de Charmin to get some soap, and there's Bruce folded over. I mean, literally folded in half. And there at his feet, the empty bottle of wine.
I just throw it away.
At the immunity challenge, Lamina snapped their losing streak, winning a crucial immunity. Bruce appeared to be the easy target for Casaya due to his shenanigans and fear from Aris that he would flip to Lamina at the merge. However, being fed up with Bobby's crude behavior, Danielle tried to flip the votes onto him instead, and at a wild tribal council, Bruce almost cost himself the game by throwing his vote onto Courtney because her fire dancing got in the way of his Zen Garden practice. Shane, not wanting to pick a side, put his vote on Aris, thus in a 3-2-1-1 vote, the woman of Casaya overpowered Aris and Bobby's votes for Bruce, making Bobby the 5th casualty of Survivor Panama. Gosh, can I just say one more time how much I love Casaya?
Bobby, tribe has spoken. Time for you to go.
After the craziness that was Casaya's tribal, the remaining 6 members desperately tried to make amends, as they knew they had a serious chance to dominate the game if they entered the merge with the numbers, and there couldn't be any more animosity within the tribe. On Lamina, Dan talked about his time in NASA and how much it changed his life. However, unfortunately for Lamina, the former astronaut completely choked on the puzzle, leading to a Casaya comeback, which also meant they would have the 6-4 numbers over Lamina heading into the merge. Casaya also smartly chose Sally to go to Exile and avoid tribal, as they figured she was most in danger on Lamina. The 4 men on Lamina were all defeated, as not only did they know their long-term games took a serious hit, but they had all grown so close to one another, and were devastated that one of them had to leave tonight. However, wanting to keep his strongest males with him at the merge, Terry admitted to Dan he was siding with Nick and Austin to vote for him. And at tribal, Dan reveals he knows he's going home, and in an emotional vote, his 3 allies reluctantly send him home unanimously, but they gave him the utmost respect on the way out.
Dan, tribe has spoken. Time for you to go.
See you, Dana.
Yeah.
Episode 7 is a recap of the pre-merge, leading us into episode 8, with Lamina heading to Casaya's beach for a merge. Before Lamina arrived, the Casayas quickly got together to confirm their alliance, as they knew they would be guaranteed top 6 if they stayed strong. While everyone bonded and got along, Terry knew he had some work to do to get the Casayas to flip, but safe to say, his pleas weren't very convincing.
Our group of 4 would like to offer you and Shane the opportunity to take the burden of tribal council off your shoulders for the next 2 weeks.
It was almost laughable. It's like he's offering me something. I don't think he's in a position to offer me anything.
At the first individual immunity challenge, Terry won the ever so important merge immunity, leaving Austin and Nick as the targets for Casaya. Austin attempted to make himself look weak by dropping out of the challenge early when he still had more to offer, but worried this would come back to bite him. Lamina campaigned for Shane, as he was obviously a loose cannon, and Terry also seriously considered playing his idol for Nick or Austin. At tribal, Casaya did end up targeting Nick over Austin, feeling he was the stronger of the two, and unfortunately for Nick, Terry kept his idol. Oh well, at least Nick still has his epic final words of wisdom.
All you kids in your mid-20s that are in my situation, confused, not sure which direction life's pulling you, and you're just trying to find yourself. Be who you potentially are, and be true to your dreams and what you really want to do. If we all maximize that personal freedom, then we'll change the world.
With Nick gone, Lamina didn't give up hope, as they knew they just needed 2 people to flip, but once again, their campaign fell on deaf ears.
If I get Danielle, then you'll come over with us tonight and we will go to the final 5. And the vote tonight will be against ours. And you'll be on our side.
You're looking at 6th place with them. Your only chance is with us.
This is a major league play.
Man, you know your campaigns suck when not even the hot mess that is Casaya aren't even hiding the fact that they're not convinced. But also, I do think you have to give credit to Aris for really hammering the Casaya's strong mindset. At the reward challenge, the castaways were split into 3 teams, and Bruce, Aris, and Sally ended up victorious. Austin and Danielle were exiled together, while the winners enjoyed a big breakfast in a rain-soaked bed. Yeah, not exactly the best reward ever. At the obstacle course immunity challenge, Terry came up clutch again, winning his second immunity. Lamina continued to desperately get Casaya to turn, but at Tribal, Austin was voted out in a 6-3 vote to become the first member of the jury.
Austin, the tribe has spoken. Time for you to go. Later, man.
After 2 unsuccessful attempts to get Casaya to flip to their side, Terry and Sally accepted their fate and knew they had to fend for themselves at this point. The final 8 were split up into 2 teams of 4, with the team of Bruce, Courtney, Sally, and Terry winning peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, along with videos from home. Back at camp, Shane was having some problems with his manhood and asked registered nurse Cirie for a favor.
What? That's because it's wet all the time. Your clothes are moist. I tried to be as professional as I could under the circumstances, but it was just so hilarious.
At the immunity challenge, everyone on Casaya minus Aris sat out to feast on burgers and fries. With the odds even more in his favor, Terry won his 3rd straight immunity, but this came at the cost of his last remaining Lamina ally in Sally, as she was voted out in a 6-2 vote.
Sally, the tribe has spoken.
Episode 11 now of Survivor Panama, arguably the funniest episode in all of Survivor. Terry was obviously frustrated due to being all alone, but he knew no matter what happened, a Casaya was for sure going home next due to his super idol. The reward was the classic sketchy questions challenge, leading Courtney to truly realize what her tribemates thought of her.
Who is the most annoying person out here? Everybody says Courtney except Courtney. Obviously you're surprised.
By being the right answer for everything, yeah. It makes it feel great.
Cirie would end up winning this challenge, and she brought Aris and Danielle with her on reward, where the 3 formed a key alliance. Back at camp, Courtney complained after what happened at the challenge, and having enough of Courtney, Shane completely exploded.
I'll drive up and I'll kill you in your little apartment, and I'll drive over to my club, and that'll be it.
I don't have the apartment.
Well, obviously, dude, I've never been in your apartment. I don't know if it's or not. It was an adjective.
I know.
Don't take everything so personal.
But you're
Why
not,
are you so sensitive?
When the winning group returned, everyone's focus shifted to Bruce, as he was in serious pain, as he hadn't been able to use the bathroom for the past couple days. In the end, the pain was too much for Bruce, and in general, he was too much of a liability to be left in the game, and Bruce became the 2nd person in Survivor history to be medevaced.
See you in a minute, Brucey.
So to recap this episode, we had the hilarious sketchy questions challenge, Shane and Courtney's iconic argument, where she was more offended by Shane making fun of her apartment as opposed to his death threat, and Bruce's dream of winning Survivor ended because he couldn't take a dump. Good lord, I absolutely love Panama. The final 6 competed in a 2-part challenge, with the winning team earning themselves a barbecue feast. The team of Courtney, Danielle, and Terry won barbecue, while Terry beat the 2 in the next challenge to win himself a new GMC Yukon. The 3 enjoyed their reward, and Terry attempted to make a final 3 deal with the 2 ladies, and painted Aris as a massive target who needed to be taken out soon. But things didn't look good for this alliance, as unbelievably, despite Shane threatening Courtney the previous episode, Courtney knew Shane wanted to bring her to the end, as Shane knew she was an easy beat due to being a public goat. So once again wanting to hang on to that idol, Terry won his 4th consecutive individual immunity. Going in the tribal, Shane assumed Danielle was the target for some reason, while Terry and Courtney were planning on voting for the biggest threat left on the table in Aris. However, with Cirie seeing an opening, she not only invented the taking out the goat strategy, but she also pulled off the first ever 3-2-1 plurality vote in Survivor, the first true iconic move from the legend herself.
Shane wants to take Courtney to the final 2. He's told me that. Terry wants to take Courtney to the final 2. That, to me, makes Courtney the most dangerous person out here. I want to kind of mess up Terry's plans and mess up Shane's plans, and hopefully we get rid of Courtney next.
The 11th person voted out of Survivor Exile Island. Courtney, need to grab your torch.
Courtney, the tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go.
Shane and Terry were shocked at what happened, while Aris thanked Cirie immensely and agreed to a final 2. At the reward challenge, the final 5 competed for a chance to spend the day with their loved ones. Terry unsurprisingly won and chose Shane and his son to join his wife to spend the night at a villa. He also chose Cirie's husband to spend the day with the others back at camp. Aris only got to say a few words, while Danielle got nothing. Frustrated at the situation, the 3 left at camp confirmed their alliance. At the immunity challenge, Terry won his 5th immunity in a row, which guaranteed himself a spot in the final 3 due to his super idol. Shane once again campaigned for Danielle, while Terry once again tried to take out his biggest competition in Aris. However, the alliance of Danielle, Cirie, and Aris once again voted together as a trio to blindside the legendary Shane Powers.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have a chocolate ice cream bar in about 1 minute.
Shane, the tribe has spoken.
It's the final 4 now, and fun fact, it included 1 member from each of the starting 4 tribes. At the reward challenge, Aris and Terry battled it out, but Aris finally beat Terry and chose Cirie to join him on a yacht tour of the Panama Canal. However, this ended up being the opening that Terry needed, and for the first time all game, his campaign worked, as he told Danielle she was clearly on the outside of her final 3 alliance, giving Danielle no choice but to work with him. At the immunity challenge, it once again came down to Aris and Terry in a 3 puzzle challenge, but Aris secured himself a spot in the final 3 by winning his first immunity. With Aris and Terry both safe, Danielle and Cirie knew they were going to fire, and even received help from their partner. Danielle attempts to persuade Terry to play his idol for her to guarantee the 2 of them to make it to the final 3, but Terry doesn't want to make himself vulnerable. Thus, Cirie and Danielle do indeed go to fire after the votes are locked at 2 apiece. The finale actually begins with this fire making challenge, and unfortunately, the first run of the legendary Cirie fields would come to an end, as Danielle dominated the fire making challenge. I gotta say though, for someone who is scared of freaking leaves, I say Cirie proved quite a lot of people wrong with her performance in Panama.
Cirie?
Yeah.
Tribe has spoken.
The final 3 competed in their last reward challenge with a chance to fuel up on food before the final immunity challenge. Terry won, earning himself a big feast. However, I would argue this was detrimental for Terry, and that's because the final immunity challenge of Panama is arguably the most poorly thought out challenge of all time. In a $1 million challenge, Aris and Terry basically had no chance. The reason being was because they weighed 20 plus more pounds than Danielle, and with this being a balanced challenge on water, their weight caused their paddles to sink, obviously making the challenge much more difficult compared to Danielle, whose paddles were steady. Once Terry dropped out first, Danielle gave Aris the look of approval that she was taking him, causing him to abandon his paddle, and unbelievably, Danielle beat both Terry and Aris to guarantee herself a spot in the final 2. However, this might have been worst case scenario for Danielle, as she was definitely not expecting to win, and with her being in alliance with Terry and making a deal with Aris, she was going to break her word with someone. Aris and Terry campaigned for their lives, as they knew Danielle would essentially be deciding which one of them would win Survivor. What will Danielle do?
14th person voted out of Survivor, Exile Island. Terry, bring me a torch.
Terry, tribe has spoken.
Aris and Danielle celebrated being the final 2, and Danielle was almost given the victory after Aris slipped and fell onto rocks, causing him to slice his back and hands, requiring 8 stitches. I know people are hit and miss on final 3s, but you can't blame production for wanting to switch to a final 3 format after not only Terry came up just short, but they almost weren't even able to have a final tribal council had this injury been any worse. Anyway, Danielle and Aris both made it to final tribal council, and both had pretty decent performances. In the end though, Aris was simply too respected for his leadership and competitive nature, and months later, he was crowned the winner of Survivor Panama, beating Danielle in a 5-2 vote.
The winner of Survivor Exile Island.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and make sure to check out my previous installments of Survivor in blank minutes, and leave a comment down below of what you think about Survivor Panama. With all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.